Today's guest on the podcast is Mike Salemi. Mike Salemi and I met back in 2014 while attending HLC2 taught by Paul Chek himself. Mike has accomplished a lot in the sports world, both in competitive weightlifting as well as competitive kettlebell lifting. Mike Salemi is also a plant medicine practitioner, specifically with the use of combo. In this podcast, we talk about Mike Salemi's upbringing and the challenges he's faced, how it was like being trained by Paul Chek for 2 years privately, as well as questions given by you at the end of the podcast. Mike Salemi has been one of the most open guests I've had on yet, and I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to the Good Demand podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Mike Salemi. Salemi, how you doing, my man?
What's up, brother? I'm doing good, man.
Yeah, so me and Mike met back in 2014 at HLC2. Do you remember that? Remember HLC2?
I remember HLC2. That was a solid course.
Right.
A lot of stuff changed for me after that.
Oh, really? What were you at that time of your life?
So at that time, it was right around it was right in the realm of me getting out of a very challenging romantic relationship. And so I was either in it or transitioning, and I just remember going through that course and just like my heart got busted wide open. So many beliefs got challenged.
Yeah.
And so, I just remember that being a super impactful course.
Yeah. And Paul taught that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. How then you were already being trained by Paul at that time?
At that time, in 2014, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I started with Paul in 2013, so that was kind of like right in that. No, you know what though? That was actually right before I started working with him, because I recall that was actually the time at the end of that class.
Mm-hmm.
I remember standing in line, was trying to get my meditation chi stick, the gong sign from him.
Yeah.
And he was so busy. Obviously, there was so many students there who wanted basically his time and to talk to him. And I remember being in line, this long line. I forget how many people we had. We had like 60 people, let's say, in the course. And I had asked him then to take a look at my arm.
Oh,
I haven't thought of that in a while, but I had asked him, I was like, hey, I've got this issue in my arm.
Yeah.
It's hindering me from competing in the way I want to do. And I remember then he was just like, I'm not sure. I can't promise you anything, but I'd have to get you on my table, assess you, and then we can, see if I can even help.
Yeah.
And so that was actually the time that was the catalyst for me actually working with him closely for 2.5 years.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
That brings me back, man.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So you had compartment syndrome, right, in your arm?
Yep.
Yeah, so let's get right into that. Someone asked me to ask you, how was that? Like, you were coached and trained by Paul Chek for 2 years, right?
2.5, yep.
2.5 years. How was that time, man? Because, I mean, most of the people that I know that are, like, into holistic health and learning and self-development have come from the Chek Institute. And, I mean, Paul Chek is the main guy. So how was it like being trained and coached by him for about 2 years?
Different.
Yeah.
Different and amazing than any other coach I'd worked with in the past.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly. And, I'd gone to Paul for sure to help iron out and figure out what was going on in my left arm, which I didn't know was a compartment syndrome.
Right.
But one of the things that was interesting about Paul is, so Paul's, as you know, has such like an eclectic background.
Yeah.
So as both, not just as a teacher and as a coach, but really as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done so many different wild sports, and one of which was motocross.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is with compartment syndromes, from my understanding, it happens, or not, I don't want to say it happens a lot, but it happens more common in runners, but in the legs.
Okay.
And so, but with motocross specifically, which is what he was into, and he's coached a lot of motocross guys, just the amount of, I guess, movement on the throttle or gripping the handle, the compartment syndromes on the forearm he had seen before, and I think he had worked with as well. So he knew maybe not exactly what was going on, but he was like, I've got a really good idea. Let's assess you. And so I came to him for that.
Yeah.
And in that whole process, it was basically like starting back from nuts and bolts, like the most fundamental of fundamental things, from a lot of postural work, a lot of infant development work, regressing so many movements. But then it was like 9 months of foundational training, let's say.
Wow.
And then we started really getting into pushing it a lot more, building on that new base. But that being said, like, even though it was super physical, like I was going to him for an orthopedic injury and to help me compete. Like, as you know, it was every aspect of spiritual development, emotional development, mental diet, everything. And so the good thing is we were in contact every single week. And once a month I would fly down there for 1 to 2 days and we'd work side by side.
Whoa,
so
sick.
There was a lot of communication, a lot of connection. So he not only learned my case really well, but there was a friendship developed and like
obviously
a level of trust that you need contact and you need connection. So we had a lot of connection when we were working for sure. And even now to this day.
So how did you learn about Paul Chek? I thought you were I thought he was coaching you and then you guys worked together. Or you started the HLC training, my bad.
No. So I'm trying to think of like exact years, but when I was 17, 18 is when I first got familiar with his work. And so I'm about to turn 35. So you're looking at, let's just say.
Looking good too, man, 35.
Thank you, man. I got a few gray hairs, bro. But well over 15 years. Wow. And I don't recall the exact year, but when I was 17, 18, basically a facility that I was doing personal training at and strength and conditioning at, the owner of the gym had modeled his whole facility after Paul's teachings. Wow. So there was Checkies and all sorts of physical therapists, chiros, all sorts of great people. And so the owner of the gym, in exchange, I basically taught him powerlifting, which was my main sport at the time. Yeah. And then he was working with me on nutrition and lifestyle. And so that's when I got How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. Not long after, that's when I took, I think it was HLC 1 at that time. So that's when I first heard about him, but it was like a few years until I went into some of the formal courses.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, sweet. And then that helped you get back into your sport and training. And tell me, let's talk a little bit about sports. Like you have been a champion at weightlifting and at kettlebells, which are both very fucking difficult. So like let's talk about that aspect, because I know that's your love and that's your passion. And you started when you were 15 as well?
14 is when I started powerlifting. Yeah, it was right around freshman year of high school.
Got it. Okay. And then that led you into kettlebells later on, right?
It was actually, so the order was, it was powerlifting first. And then while I was still powerlifting, I was competing in Olympic weightlifting in college. Did like about a year or so with a really good coach out of San Francisco. It was Jim Schmitz, who was our 3-time U.S. Olympic coach.
Oh, damn.
So got to work with him just in that 1 year primarily. And then it was kettlebell sport right around the same time for like 10 years. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. And then this is your passion, right? Like everything about kettlebells and working out and sports performance. Could you talk to us a little bit about the challenge it was to leave your family business? You know, you said like if you're from Sicily, you're originally from Sicily, right?
My mom and dad are.
Your mom and dad are,
I'm
right?
from South Florida, yeah.
Okay, but your heritage is Sicilian,
super Italian,
and I know, you know, leaving the family. I know like Italian parent is like everything, right? Like it's everything. But it wasn't your passion working in the family business, and you had to be like, yo, I gotta do this for me. I gotta leave. I have to go chase my passion. Could you talk to the audience here about like how it was leaving, like the courage you needed to have to leave, and then as well as like, I don't want to say the bad taste in your mouth that your family left with you, but like, you know, like that family dynamic, and you know, it was kind of a challenge as well, right? Could you speak on that?
Yeah, man. I think it was just like sports. It was, for me, I would look at it almost like an initiation, right? I think as people, especially as men, like there's different pivotal things in our life, whether I don't want to say they happen to us, but they just happen unconsciously. And then there's other initiations that we actually go out and seek out, whether it's a medicine journey or a competition, whatever it is. But, you know, that time in my life was an initiation for me. And I love my family. My family's amazing. And when I look back at it now, like, I mean, when you're in it, it's very challenging to see, you know, to take that step back. But now having space and time and having, like, my relationship with my family has always been really close, which is also why it was challenging, right? And that being said, now looking back and having, you know, being so close with my family once again, it's amazing. But, you know, that time was super challenging. Like it was a great job in marble and granite. There was really nothing wrong with it. The only thing was, it wasn't my dream and my passion. Yeah. And there's only so far and so long that I think anybody can get in life without just being pretty unhappy doing something that they truly don't enjoy doing. Yeah. And so, but that job or that work, I mean, man, it brought me so much closer to my whole family, but especially my brother. Like my brother's my best friend. And so getting to work with my brother, literally there was a pane of glass separating us in our offices. And we had a gym in the back of the warehouse,
tight.
sled pushing, I built a platform, a cage, kettlebells.
So you guys hit a workout at lunch or something?
At night especially, like we would work really late, but like I'd be doing, I was doing, one of the things was product photography for us.
Okay.
So like I built a whole photo studio in the back, big ass lights and stuff. And so I would shoot, he'd be working, then we get out, we do some sled pushes, some prowler pushes, and and then of course eating every day, eating lunch together, eating dinner together. We also lived together for a number of years. So when I look back, I mean, there was so many positives as well.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, it's sometimes hard to see that. But, I really do hope, like me and my brother get along really well and complement each other really well. Like I would love to be able to work with my brother again.
Yeah.
And if that was the only time in my life that happened, then I'm super freaking grateful for it.
Yeah. He's still in the family business.
He's still in the family business. Yeah. And it was definitely, like a rift in the family when it happened. And, I think it's like, I had to do what I had to do. They had to do what they had to do. But like thinking back to like even another blessing of that time, like that's how I was able to afford working with Paul. Like otherwise, just if I were to go 100% on my own, not to say I wouldn't have been successful, but like even to this day, like I've been out of the family business for 5 years. And in those 5 years, it's like, it's this constant, like growth does not happen like this, right?
Yeah.
Growth happens with a lot of ups and downs. And I was actually speaking with Anya Fernald, who, have you heard of her? She's the co-founder of Belcampo Meats.
Oh, okay. Yes. You've put it on your Instagram before.
Yeah.
I've seen her through there.
Amazing woman, such an inspiration and a good friend of mine. And I remember she told me something that like stuck with me. She goes, it's going to take you about probably 5 years. 5 years to actually figure out exactly what you're doing and like build the systems and build the business around it. And at first I was like, 5 years, man, that feels like a long time. And now I'm approaching 5 years of being out.
Yeah.
And of course I'm always learning, tweaking, changing, growing, etc. But I'm finally feeling like I'm figuring out my messaging. I'm figuring out who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I've got programs and offerings. Now I'm bringing on some people to help me with some stuff. But it's been a grind and it's been a lot of stuff. So, but that family business is what basically allowed me to work with Paul and be able to afford that stuff. So again, it was challenging, but I wouldn't change it because it shaped me. And it was like, for me, it was an initiation to really owning what I want in life, still respecting my family, still loving my family. And I know they love me, but it was my way to say like, I want to do something different and I'm going to follow my heart and my dream.
Yeah. And then since you guys are already close, was it difficult to have those conversations? Like I know for myself, like my parents and I aren't like that close. So it's very difficult for me to like bring something up. So sometimes I just won't even say shit. You know what I mean? But like for you guys who were close, was it difficult for you to say something like, hey, I want to stop. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah,
it was really challenging. I mean, I think it's just like with anybody you love and care about, right? Of course, like sometimes it can be easier to talk to people, but if there's that relationship and that history there and all that stuff, there's a lot of fears that was arising for me, man. Like it was, it was very challenging, really, really, really challenging because, how I experienced it is like when you have, a close-knit family, you don't want to, disrupt the family, but then also it's like you don't want to let anybody down, and you don't want to feel like you're letting anybody down, and that's really challenging. That's a tough one to swallow. And like I said, I knew that me leaving, maybe not like in the long run because they're building and they're getting more people to help them, but I knew me leaving was going to cause a lot more stress, or I had the likelihood to cause a lot more stress and a lot more work for my family, right? Like in a family business or in any business, especially when it's smaller, everyone wears multiple hats, and every single person
is extremely important.
It is extremely important.
Yeah.
And you take one of those essential pieces out, of course, either certain things are going to fall by the wayside, certain things are going to have to be picked up. And that was one of the most challenging things for me, was feeling, in many respects that I was letting my family down.
Yeah.
And also I knew the work that was going to needed to be picked up, whether it's like, you need a product catalog, right? For example, I was shooting all the pictures, doing all the catalog, coordinating everything. I was doing all the design of it. I was also doing graphic design in that respect. And so they were going to have to find someone to do that stuff as one task that required a lot of work. And, the printer, the photographer, the graphic designer, everyone needs to talk to everybody, the editing, all that stuff. And so that's one example of like, someone's going to have to do it. And it was my brother. And that was really very challenging for me because I've got so much love and respect for my brother that the last thing I would want to ever do with him or my family is to create more work or more challenge for them. So that, that experience, that guilt or that I'd carried for a good while there. And, but, again, I wouldn't change it, but, doesn't make it mean that it was any easier than it was. No, definitely. But it was the right decision for sure.
Yeah. And I think you're doing very well.
Thank you.
For 5 years,
thank you.
You are where you're at. That's amazing. Wow, that is very beautiful. Yeah, I've had. I think our families do bring out a lot of our like insecurities of who we are, but it also makes us just like that much of a better person. Do you feel like you've gotten closer to your family because of the decision you made, or yeah,
like it might not have seemed like that to me originally, but like, man, it's brought us so much closer. And I think it's because like it was one of the first instances or significant instances, and probably the most significant instance in my life with my family, that they really, and myself, I got to see like what I really stand for and like what's really important for me. Like what is so important for me that I'm willing to go through damn near anything, the pain, the challenge, the struggle, to do with what I believe in. And even if it upsets someone else or people may not agree with it. And my nature is to be a people pleaser, like to be the nice guy, to do whatever it is to help other people. And so to know that like, I was going to be causing this rift, like it was really challenging, but it was the first time that I would say like, got to see this part of me and I got to see this part of me. And so I don't think with a deep level of respect, I don't think you cannot get closer to someone if they get to see more of truly who you are. There's a level of vulnerability there. There's a level of like honesty there. It's like being in a partnership in an intimate relationship. It's like, you could keep it very surface level, but that's only going to go so far. But it's through challenge, it's through hard discussions, it's through triggers that you really get to know and understand the other person. Otherwise, it can be just more superficial, and that's not the relationship I want to have with anybody I care about or love. So it definitely did bring us together, I would say.
Oh, fucking love it. So let's hit it. Let's talk about relationships. You're in a new relationship, or fairly new. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for like for sure over your like 15, 16 months, I think it was.
15, 16 months. So it's still in the...
Oh, it's still fresh.
It's still fresh. Oh, I love it.
I would say we keep it pretty fresh, pretty fun. And
I love it. How is that? Like, I do believe also, I mean, again, this is about self-development. I have grown so much in my like relationships because... First of all, like I had to work through a lot of jealousy, different communication things, and I feel so much better after being in a 2-year relationship, coming out more mature, heartbroken for sure, but like such a better person. For you right now in this relationship, let's not start with the challenges. Let's start with, why don't we start with, how do you guys keep each other, like, how's the communication? Like, what are you working with? Or do you follow anybody's work or stuff like that? Anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think with my partner, Lauren, like she's, how I experience her, she's, I don't even know, like very, very honest.
Okay.
And so that's a beautiful thing. And also, it can, and that, if I was going to be with anybody, it had to be with someone like that, like someone that's not, like, she is a strong, powerful, vibrant, just amazing woman. Right. And that's like, I think in partnership, especially if one person is very committed to their own personal growth. Like for me, one of the most important qualities, traits, whatever you want to call it, and a partner was a commitment to personal growth.
Yeah.
And so with that, you're constantly growing, you're constantly evolving, you're constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so I'm super grateful that that is one of her biggest core values as well.
All right.
Or just like that commitment there.
Yeah.
But that always means like every day we're always new versions of ourselves. But when you go through some of these whether it's a medicine experience or you do coaching sessions or breath work, whatever, you're changing at such a fast rate.
Yeah.
And so I love and appreciate her level of just groundedness, honesty with me, her commitment, because it has brought us together both like in the beautiful moments and in the challenging moments, you know?
Dude, that's so good. I'm also like starting to understand that now. I'm like, I'm dating and stuff, and I am looking for exactly how you put it, like someone whose priority is self-development, because I'm always growing, and if they don't grow or stay stagnant and don't want to develop themselves, I've already noticed like, okay, what are you gonna do when like I'm over here, but you're still like kind of leaving yourself behind? Yeah.
And in a relationship, with that, like that honesty piece that I was talking about earlier, like there's no hiding. That's the one thing. Like, and so that is, the relationship I was in before was 8 years before Lauren. So I've been single for a long time, working on being an athlete and a coach and stuff. And so, I've learned a tremendous amount about myself, strengths, weaknesses.
Let's hear 'em.
What some of the strengths and weaknesses?
Yes, please.
So, strengths, I guess you could say, like, I would say my ability to hold space for her. And, I think it's natural for guys in general to want to fix things and make things right. And there is that nature in me, right? But I think medicine work, like serving combo as an example, has really helped me with this. But my role and job, especially if she's having a hard day or is venting or whatever, is really not to fix anything.
Yeah.
It's literally just to sit with presence, loving presence, and just hold space for her to have her own experience. Yeah. And I think my ability to show up in that way, and I love showing up in that way, is probably one of the bigger strengths that I have in terms of like what I bring to the relationship. So I would say like that is probably one of the biggest things. Equally with her too, just a commitment to growth and a commitment to, I may not be the best communicator or like know how to say the right words, but what I do know is like my heart's in the right place, and I know that she trusts that. And so I'm very open and willing to work on communication. And I know she would say I'm fairly good at communication, but I'm always looking to improve and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think communication, my commitment to making our relationship a priority in my life. My business is a big priority, and then my relationship is a big priority. Also, my own just personal health for sure. That kind of underlies everything.
Right.
But making it a priority is, I think, definitely one of the things that I see as one of my strengths for sure.
Okay. How about the weaknesses, Mike?
So that's a good one. So the weaknesses, and I don't want to like speak like I'm blaming anything, but like. I take responsibility, but the fact is I haven't been in very many intimate relationships in my life. Sports and all that stuff has always been priority, and so
that's a relationship too.
That's a relationship.
You got to commit. Show up, do your part.
It definitely is. Except, well, the one thing is most of the sports I was in was all individual athlete sports, right? So it was just me and the bar, and of course there was a team and all those people to support me. But
absolutely.
I would say I haven't had much. Relationship experience, and so there's definite aspects that I can see like I'm growing in maturity or thought process. And like as an example, I've always owned my own calendar. Like I like my calendar's full. Like on the hours, like I am driven, I am motivated, I am hungry. And so like when I go travel, for example, like I will try and make on a free day, relatively speaking, as many appointments as I can to do some introductions, do some networking, collaborate. And when you're with someone, it's like you got to think about the other person too. And so my weakness, one of them is just, I think it comes from just like having lacking experience in relationships and knowing that like when I want to do certain things and like that might take a whole day or I need to be a little bit more considerate that I'm also in a partnership and consulting with her and keeping her posted so, she can make her own plans and stuff like that. So that I would say is probably one of the biggest weaknesses I got.
Okay.
And Yeah, I would say that for sure. Working on that.
Yeah. And you're in your fiery stage of life, man. You're going and going and going. Like, it's understandable to be like, you're back there, you good? Like, like you're just going head first. Like, you're hoping she's like right behind you.
Yeah, it's like, didn't I tell you about I'm going hunting this weekend and then I'm doing this and I'm doing. She's like, no, you didn't tell me any of that. And in fact, I actually thought we were gonna do this together that we talked about. And I was like, oh yeah, but like, this opportunity came up and like it's super important. And she's so supportive.
That's good.
And she's like literally so supportive. And I know like those are some of my like the biggest things that I'm working on in the partnership and in the relationship.
I love it. Have you read the book The Way to Be Your Man?
Yes, it's actually somewhere behind me.
Let me see. I hope I can.
And if not, it's probably in one of the restrooms in the bathrooms because I love that book. Yeah.
Thank God. Every single person I've interviewed now has read that book, and it's amazing. Like every single person. So why don't we talk a little bit about that and how the masculine and femininity plays in your relationship? Sure. And like what role you take, what role does she take, or?
Yeah. So the way that, man, So I'm trying to think, what are some of like the quintessential things that kind of embody that? I mean, one of the things, like, even though I would say how I experienced Lauren is she's incredibly strong, solid, like in her feminine. Yeah. And I would say I'm in my masculine, like rooted, grounded. Yeah. Like we're both strong-minded people. And so like, how do I say it? Like she's definitely the nurturer. I'm definitely the man, definitely the guy, the more like direction focused. Like for me, like I've got goals, objective, plans, action, let's fucking go. Yeah. Right. And with her, I would say like for the most part, more nurturing, more like open, like needs a little bit of direction in certain things. But when she commits to something, she's all in. And so one of the biggest things as I've seen is like, it's my role to not make decisions for her by any means, but it's my goal to have more of the direction, the compass, the action-oriented thing, the plan, that sort of stuff. And it's her feminine, let's just say that side, to be more receive, open, flowing, go with this. But it needs both. Like sometimes I can be really rigid and really structured. Like I thrive in structure and I love creating structure in my life. With her, she does really well in it, but sometimes she needs a little help and assistance in creating that for herself. Right. And I need a little bit more softness sometimes. And flow. And a little more flow and like, ease up. Like try not to book 10 things in one day. Like so that's like probably one of the biggest things that I've observed. But we've made such an amazing commitment to, I mean, maybe it's not every day. I mean, we have heartfelt conversations every day, but I would say like almost every day or every other day we sit in meditation together. Oh, that's beautiful. And then we sit in meditation and then we talk after, like what came up for you, what came up for you. And like, that's something that we've committed to. It just happened. Yeah. Sometimes it's with tobacco, you know, with rape, and sometimes it's by itself with just some music or just sitting quiet. And I've really so loved that practice, that ritual that we've just fell into. Yeah. And so almost every single day we're coming together, taking time out of our schedule, sitting together in silence, and then chatting about where we're at, what's coming up. And we've been doing that since we've been together. Really. Oh,
I love that. I love in my past relationship, I broke like the fourth wall. Like usually people don't talk about, hey, so how's this going, by the way, you know, and like and communicate like, you know, I like what we're doing, but you know, like I feel like maybe we should do more things with my parents, or I feel like you're not close enough to my family. It's like, oh, I never thought that. Like, okay, let's do that. Yeah. Like, and it's really good to break the fourth wall. Like how you said, like talk about, hey, what are we doing? How's it feeling? Is that kind of what you guys do, right? Or
I mean, anything that's coming up in life, anything like, you know, what came up for you in the meditation, what, you know, you know, anxiety, like whatever, anything's on the table or everything's on the table. And that's really for the most part, I think, how we live our relationship. But at the end of the day, it's like, again, as I'm growing and she's growing, we're both peeling back layers each day. And so I'm getting to know myself more, and then I'm, you know, bringing that up to her. But I think at the base level, in order to do that with her and with anybody, there needs to be an underlying foundation of safety created. Yeah. And so I would say, like, I think one of the things I'm most proud and appreciate most about our relationship is there's massive respect for each other, a shit ton of love, and then trust. And then with those things, like the willingness to grow and communicate, like things just unfold, and it's not always easy by any means, but there is such a level of trust. And one thing we've always committed to each other is, of course, to be honest and as honest as we can, but like even when triggered, remembering that like you can still always be kind. You know, and so, and of course, like we can make mistakes, say things that we don't mean, etc. But like we've made as much of a commitment, like you can still hold that kindness for the other person, and I think that's really supported us as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you guys met each other in ceremony, right?
So I've known her for just under 10 years. Mutual friends. I introduced her to Paul Chek and the Chek Institute, and she's gone down that route, and like she's HLC 3, and she's an amazing.
Sick.
She just took I took it for the first time. She just took it for the second time. Sick. And so similar circles, similar interests. She had opened up a restaurant in Santa Cruz.
Oh, dope.
So I was visiting the restaurant for a little bit. The great food. She designed like concept. She's brilliant. She's amazing. And but then I was serving combo, and I invited her to. I think she came to 2 ceremonies. And then I invited her to a medicine ceremony that one of my friends who facilitates was hosting. And that's really what I would say brought us closer together. I was having a pretty rough night. And she basically, at the end of the night, after ceremony had closed, she had held space for me. And just nothing was said, but she just held space for me to go through some pretty heavy stuff. And like, I just remember just having such deep fucking gratitude and respect and appreciation. And then in the coming days, we went for, I think it was a hike a few days later just to check in. How are you doing after ceremony? How are you doing? And it was undeniable that there was a deep connection there. Yeah. And so we just started talking more, and one thing led to another. Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah. I love it. Why don't we talk about combo? I know I had a question for my man, Chef Madden, and he really wanted you to go into combo. I know you are licensed and certified, right, to administer combo.
Not like certified,
certified to administer combo. And I think he really wanted to know the difference between this medicine compared to the other ones, because this is not a hallucinogen, right? And it's also legal, so you can practice here in the U.S. Where you want to do ayahuasca, you have to go to a different country, or I don't know how everyone does it, but can we talk about like how you got introduced to that, and then why you chose that specific type of medicine that isn't a hallucinogen? It's different.
Yeah, it's very different, and I think with combo specifically, like I think it's been it's been a while, because I've been sitting with it I left the family business when I was 30, and I think I started when I was 28, 29. So like at least maybe like 6-7 years now. Okay. I think I've been sitting with combo, if I'm not mistaken. And it first just started for my own health and just well-being. Like it was introduced to me by a friend of mine who knew that I was a competitive athlete, and was like, hey man, did you know about this medicine? It's it's said to be a hunter's medicine or a warrior's medicine. It's said to help your immune system, and I think you might want to check it out, and it might even help how you're competing on the platform. So I was like, dude, I'm always down to try things, especially if it's recommended by someone I love and trust.
Yeah.
I'm open to anything.
Yeah. Make me run better? What? Or lift more? I'm down.
I'm down.
Yeah.
And so I sat in a ceremony, was really well facilitated. And then the next day, like I literally felt like Superman.
Whoa.
Like just like a new level of vitality. Wow. Like it was so evident that I was like, holy smokes, I'm really surprised. I want to do this again. So in a few months later, I sat again. And it took me a long time to really figure out and come to the conclusion that it was something that I wanted to serve. At first, it was just for me. And then I was like, man, like I'm getting so much benefit. I think maybe other people can get benefit. I'd love to learn more. But more than anything, I want to make sure it's coming from the right place. Yeah. And so I started sitting with it more and more regularly. And then the year before that I signed up for training, I was sitting with it almost once a month. And I was sitting with it once a month just to really experience the medicine more and develop a connection, and then really see like, is this really something that I could see myself sharing? Yeah. And it was just, time and time again, it was a resounding yes. And so I went through the training, and the training was really challenging. Yeah. It was like 2 weeks long, and it was challenging from every level, from mentally, like learning about the stuff, just historically what it's doing in the body, different protocols, but then you're also receiving a lot too.
Oh, really? During those 2 weeks?
You're doing a lot. You're serving a lot. You're receiving a lot. You're studying. It's long days.
You purge during those ceremonies, right?
Oh, it's
so you're purging 2 weeks straight almost, or
no? It was they split it up. I think total over the course of 2 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, we did probably like 5 ceremonies, maybe not. Yeah, let's say plus or minus 5. Okay. Learning how to serve yourself, which is amazing, and also very challenging too. Like you need to set your space up. You need to have either a sitter there just to make sure you're okay. You need to have like there's so many things that need to go on, and I remember that being like a big like challenge for me in the beginning, but it's something that now, like if anything, like right now, I basically mainly just serve. I've served retreats, I've served small group stuff, I've served one-on-ones, but really right now I'm really only called to serve myself, my friends and family, and then just like the close community. And it's amazing to be able to serve myself. Like to be able to, we are our own best healer. And I do think combo can be a very powerful healing modality for many people out there. It's not for everybody, but I was getting so much benefit that when I started going and serving, not only was it something not cool, but it was something that I was noticing a bunch of healing benefits from, but I was also just getting so much like inner nourishment from sharing it. Like I would say probably some of the biggest lessons that I've had have come from serving in the sense of like, it is so humbling and so, just like heart opening to witness and support someone going through a challenging process and hold space for them is like one of the greatest honors, honestly. And I say that no bullshit, like it's opened my heart up in ways I could never imagine. So yeah, I'm so grateful that medicine has come across my path, but it's not psychoactive. In the US it is legal. And again, there's contraindications just like with anyone, and it is a stronger type of medicine. Right. But that being said, it's like if it's served well and the person is like been screened and it can be really helpful. For sure. What
kind of realizations you come through? Because it cleanses you, right? It's a physiological, and it could also be a very spiritual cleanse, right?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more known from like the physical cleansing aspect. Okay. There is the purging that can happen on it can come in any form. Like it can come in vomiting, that's really common, but it can come in laughing, crying, shaking, lower bowel purge. Okay. So it could be a gamut, a whole range of things. Yeah. And then what was your question again in terms of
like the benefits of it compared to like, let's say ayahuasca or psilocybin?
Yeah. So I would say the purge and like the benefits are probably more spoken out there in terms of the physical benefits. Okay. That's really what I was drawn to at first too. That's like a cleanse, a detox. But the more that I worked with it, especially during those once a month before I went into training, the more kind of layers that were peeled back, I started really realizing like, there is no separation between physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Yeah. But then I really started feeling that. And I started going to the ceremonies and then after I went through training, like I started bringing a lot more, let's just say emotional intention into the ceremonies and doing, let's say, a coaching session before with a coach, doing my ceremony, oftentimes doing a coaching session after to help me process. And then I started realizing, and then being in ceremony and serving, I was like, holy shit, like this is so much more than just a physical cleanse. Yeah. Like there is so much more. But with that, like one of the things that I'll encourage when someone, let's say, has a vomit purge is conscious purging. So if there's an idea, a thought, an emotion that you really want to work with and let go of, you can energetically put that into the bucket, and or you could scream, you could yell, it's all good. Like it's everything's okay, everything's welcome. And that's been one helpful thing that I've shared with people, and if it feels right for someone to do, great, and if not, great too. But at least in my own personal connection with the medicine, that's been something that's been super helpful. And it's gonna be different with every person, right? It's a natural secretion, and also everyone's coming with different stuff. But that being said, like one of the big, I would say, overall themes, and I always share this with people that in my experience it does really well with, is the theme of letting go. Got it. And so transition points in life, when you feel stuck in life, it can be one thing to look into that could be really supportive. Okay. Yeah. And you also use Hape and the one with the eyes. I forgot what that one was called. Sananga. You use them also in ceremony with combo as
not a supplement, but as a plus with, or like how would you describe that?
So it's not, I don't bring it in every ceremony. It just depends really on like who's there, what their experiences was like. Cause combo in and of itself is like, it's intense. It's intense or can be intense. And so, you know, if sometimes I'll offer a light dose of rape before, it can help ground people, especially if they've had experience with it. If they haven't had experience with combo or rape or it's just a lot. So just some breath work is good. And like oftentimes what I see is in the breath work, and I don't do it all the time, but some minor form of breath work I'll incorporate. You can see, or like I can tell a lot potentially not how they're going to do in the ceremony. That's not what I want to say, but like, cause the breath you can get, it's like your anchor, right? And so some people come into ceremony and they're super nervous, rightfully so. And so they might be hyperventilating. Oh, wow. And so it's like, if they can get in their body with some calming breath work before, they're going to be way better set. So I try not to just introduce things to introduce things. Yeah. Take people step by step. But if they have experience with tobacco or they would like some, I'm always open to share. And then with Sananga too, but it's not like, not every ceremony includes them all. It's more who's there and what really would be supportive to that person.
Okay. Got it. And then you use, you said there's, hape and harape.
So rape and hape, same thing, just different spellings. And then with different rapes, most of it is all powdered tobacco, but there's also like a spray, like a liquid hape out there, which I don't really use. But when I refer to it, I'm referring to the same thing. Okay.
And then so when the hape, you use it on a more consistent basis, or?
I do. Like I have a massive, it's one of the master teacher plan. And I feel, when I was in combo training, there was one of my classmates, he's an ayahuasquero and he's a tabaquero as well. And so he shared something with me with regards to tobacco that I like really, it just always stuck with me. And one of which is like, if you look in all these medicine cultures, all these indigenous cultures, irregardless of what medicine they primarily serve or they serve, tobacco seems to be one that's present in all of them.
Right. Yeah.
And then what he was also sharing with me, which I thought was fascinating, is as a master teacher plant, he goes, and it's maybe not these exact words, but how I experienced them and understood them was like, tobacco has the ability to give the other plants instructions. Whoa, and so I was like, oh, that's super interesting. But like, it's been such a powerful plant, such an amazing plant. And so, I would say at least about once a week, that's pretty conservative, but like once a week I'll do a hape meditation and it's been beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful medicine.
I've only done it twice and I've each time I was just like, oh shit, like, oh my God. I'm just like praying and like, and you get like the back drip almost. Oh, and I don't know how people do it every day. Like, I don't know how, like, he's like, you'll get used to it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to do that. But
it's super. I mean, it's a very masculine plant. Like, it's no bullshit.
It is no bullshit.
It's like, it will like cut through like any bullshit story or whatever. It'll just drop you right in.
Yeah. And it's not psychedelic, which is cool. Do you think it's psychedelic, or is it psychedelic?
So there's so many different like versions of hape. Like the primary ingredients are going to be tobacco and then oftentimes ash. Okay. Those are usually what they're always going to include. There's tobacco free hapes as well. Oh, okay. But then a lot of them are going to have other medicinal plants and such in them. And then like rape with something called yopo, for example. Yopo is psychoactive. So it depends what form. Also, the Matsis would use a form called, would use a hape called Nunu. And the Matsis are one of the main tribes that use combo as well. And in high doses, Nunu is psychoactive. Oh, shit. And so that was one of the things when they would do their version of Sananga, which is called Bachete, they would do combo and they would do Nunu. And especially in high doses of Nunu used as a hunting medicine, what they would say is, and I have the book somewhere over here, but it's called Sapo in My Soul. And it's by a guy named Peter Gorman. And what he does is he talks about when he was visiting a tribe, and he may have been living in South America at the time, they served him massive doses of Nunu. And then in that state, what can happen, what's said to happen is you'll see a vision of the that's to be. Okay. And so you'll get insight into where to find the animal, the area around it, how it's going to die. And then you would communicate that to the others. And if I recall correctly, like the shaman of the tribe. And so it was used as that, like a visionary medicine to tell you where to go and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
New, man.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay. I'm going to check quickly on some questions that I've had from other people.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. My friend Andrew wanted to ask toughest breakup and how'd you get through it? Which is what we talked right in the beginning about you coming into HLC2 off a pretty tough breakup. Any advice for a man going through a breakup?
That's a good one. Yeah, because mine was how I experienced it was really challenging.
Yeah, dude, honestly, they're the worst. I sometimes I don't know if you pray. You pray often? Or
Yeah.
Sometimes I just remember like the time that I went through. And I just like pray for my past self. I'm just like, bro, it's
I love that.
Because, you just remember how fucked up you were. And like, I just remember like being completely alone. I was in Santa Cruz away from my family. She was like one of my best friends up there. And going through that, you're just like, oh, you're just alone and hurt. Oh, but what do you have advice for a man going through that hard time?
Man, I mean, I'm honestly a huge fan of solitude. Like, okay. I think people in general, but men specifically, and in a time of a breakup, the worst advice I would I don't know what to say the worst advice, everyone take what you want from it, but to go back out and like go have sex with whatever, I had guys giving me that advice, like, oh dude, just go, and I'll go hook up with a girl. I'm like, dude, that's not fucking me. That's not gonna make me feel better.
That's what I did. It did not make me feel better. So
maybe it worked, but for me, like, I needed like solitude.
Yeah.
I really needed space.
Yeah.
And I needed to honor my own healing process. And so what I would say is if you've got a coach that you can talk to, that you can work with, I mean, it was, 2.5 years before I could even remotely entertain being in a relationship again.
Wow. Yeah.
And maybe that sounds like a lot to people. But for me, it was just right. And learning to forgive from a safe distance. Forgive myself, forgive the other person for certain things that I was holding on to. And that takes time, right? And so I would say give it as much time as it needs when it feels right for you. Solitude can be some of the best medicine. Getting a coach to talk through it. Like I had two coaches that I would work with and talk through, stuff and give me different perspectives and different things, just to journal prompts and stuff like that. And so I would say give it time, spend some time in nature. I think a breakup for me is like, it's a form of like an initiation, right? You're going to be challenged significantly. You're going to have to find a new way of being, of relating to yourself, of relating to other people, like questions a lot. And I think nature in and of itself, in and around any challenging experience, is the best medicine. Yeah. And so fucking go out, rent a place in nature. That's one. I was telling you before we record the podcast how I love Bonnie Doon in the Santa Cruz area.
Yeah.
And just recently, not because anything was really challenging, but I took 3 days in solitude just to I rented this small cottage, not expensive, in the middle of the trees. I did some work, but I took it as my 3 days to focus on me and work through some stuff. And I think especially in and around a breakup, go into the woods, take 3 days, be alone and journal, fucking cry, yell, scream, and then have some support on the front end or the back end with a coach. That would be my best advice for sure.
Got it. And bring a drum too, right?
Oh, dude. I love that idea. Yeah, that would be amazing. All right. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Okay. My friend Nathan, I think his last name's Barron, something with the B. Have you ever met Nathan from the Check-In Studio? He's a big dude, curly hair, buff as fuck. This guy's huge, bro.
I don't think so.
He's a year 2 with me.
What's up?
Yeah, dude, he's
What's up,
fucking
brother?
huge. Okay, so his question was, he's awesome. So fucking strong, dude. It's scary how strong he is.
Amazing.
He's huge. He's a big bro. And his question was actually about him. He eats a lot, and he wants to know how he can balance that, because he's a power lifter as well. So he's a bunch of food, but he wants to make sure he's balancing that properly. Let me make sure. Without overloading his body. If you have any advice for someone who needs to eat a lot for his sport, but without, overloading himself?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of what are going to be some of the most supportive stuff. Probably stuff he already knows, but I'm going to reiterate it in the sense that what's really worked for me, what makes sense for me. Yeah. So like the more, energy that you're coming in, your parasympathetic nervous system is going to have to be dialed. So things like working in are going to be absolutely critical. Okay. Because if he's training a lot, if he's hustling a lot for work and clients and stuff like that, if his digestion's down, like he needs to make sure that he's in a state. And also with that, it's simple, but so many people don't do it, and I haven't done it in the past, but like literally no devices when you're eating. Okay. I mean, it's a game changer in terms of how you can digest, absorb, assimilate food, just literally eating in a quiet environment, no gadgets around. I would also even invite him to eat with like the lights super dim. Okay. Just put yourself in as receptive and as favorable of a state as possible. That and like chewing the food. Like I remember when I was competing in powerlifting, like for me, I mean, I wasn't a huge guy. Like at that time I was across weight classes, but the heaviest I was in the 181 pound class. And I was like, I would do things differently now, but I was eating like a pound of meat at each meal, which is a lot. And I remember like at times I was also a D1 strength and conditioning coach at the time. And I would like run to campus to coach after eating this meal. And like I would get there or like feel like I had to always be somewhere. Yeah. And I felt like there was always a brick in my stomach. Yeah. So I would say, and that was the other big changer. Like I would chew my food literally, like Paul would say, until it's liquid. Yeah. So that I would say is really important. Also in the forms that you're eating, doing things that are like, broken down already a little bit from stew meats, even ground stuff is good. Cool. If he's not already, I'm sure he's probably taken digestive enzymes, like for sure digestive enzymes, HCl. Paul had me on a proteolytic enzyme. Okay. I think it was called Michael's. There's a more, I don't want to say like a flagship brand, but a higher end brand called, if I recall, they're called Wobenzymes. Yes, Wobenzymes. Wobenzymes, okay. Yeah. And then Michael's has like a little bit cheaper version of proteolytic enzymes. You can do that. But if he's really overloading his system, he'll just have to, I mean, his skin can, pay attention, his digestion, his bowel movements, all that stuff will give him indications if he's doing too much and what he's going to probably need to change a little bit. Acupuncture can be really good too. Okay. So I was doing acupuncture pretty regularly, and if he's backed up or blocked up or needs things to balance his nervous system, that can be really helpful as well.
You hear that, Nathan? My bro had a whole tub of food during IMS 1 together, and he was just knocking it back. Oh man, he's a big dude. He's a strong bro. He's great. Yeah. Let me see if we have any other questions here. Well, I have a question about would you want to talk about Men of Movement?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man.
Dude, so Men of Movement is like my newest baby, let's just say. Yeah. And men's work specifically is something that I've been interested in for a long time, and I've co-facilitated retreats, whether it's with combo, without combo, in men's retreats. And it's just been calling, and as much as I love teaching movement, like there's always been something, not always, but especially in recent years, something missing from that. And I've always wanted to support specifically men on a little bit deeper of a level. Absolutely. And so Men of Movement is basically the integration of both. So physical movement, but also a lot of inner work. And with that, like I've been talking to so many guys, not just lately, but in the last few years, and really getting clarity in terms of where so many guys stuck today. Yeah. And I've been there, and it's things like feeling like we got to do everything ourselves. Yep. The lone fucking wolf. Scarcity mindset. Unhealthy competition with other guys, like sometimes being excited for other guys' success, but sometimes feeling jealous or feeling inferior, like fuck that guy, like those types of things. Challenges with communication, whether it's with intimate partners or just voicing, the throat chakra is like, I would say in many men is where a lot of us have a lot of challenges and blockages. Yep. So to create a space, an environment where, again, just like an intimate relationship like we talked about earlier, where guys have a safe space, a container that they can fucking just be them and can bring up with another brother what's going on in their life. And I was having this conversation with one of my buddies, Brian Osuna, who's going to actually be helping me at the retreat. One of the guys, we've got a few amazing assistants. He's going to be doing some sound healing. He brought something up to me. He was at he was at a men's retreat recently, and it was just focused for fathers. And he said something to me that was a big aha for him, and it really brought something up for me. And he was like, at this men's retreat, at this father's retreat, there was basically maybe one other guy there who had done some personal growth work or whatever. Most everybody else was totally new to men's work and personal development. And what he shared with me was fucking fascinating. He's like, you know what, Mike? He's like, they didn't have the vocabulary that maybe me and you have, or the people in our circle. But he goes, it was so fucking refreshing that they were just like, I'm fucking mad and I'm angry. And it was simple stuff, but it was raw. And it wasn't dressed up. It didn't sound spiritual, but it was real.
That's what we want. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you're right, man. That is beautiful.
Yeah, man.
And he goes, and sometimes that's exactly what I want to say. It's like, I don't want to have to I just want to say I'm fucking angry right now. And I don't know why. And I'm just pissed as fuck. And I was like, dude, that's beautiful. And that was a reminder that and that's part of the environment. It's like anybody can come who wants to work on themselves. And it's just about creating an environment of brothers, an environment where we can get clarity in what we want. We can support each other. We integrate physical movement with a lot of the inner work. So the first retreat that I'm running is actually at the end of this month. I've rented out all Belcampo farms. We've got
for real?
For
so
where they
sick.
do events and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the food's going to be the highest quality, all grass-fed, grass-finished. Right across the street, you can see cows.
Yeah.
We're staying on the property. I got a private sweat lodge lined up with a native who is doing this for 40 years now, I believe.
It's October 28th, right?
The 28th, through the 31st. Cool. And if anybody at all is watching this or interested, hit me up. Would love to hop on a call. And, just for listening to the podcast, I'll for sure hook them up with some type of discount for sure. Yeah.
Okay, man. Dope. Man, yeah. So I've also been doing some work with guys, and I've had some not retreats, but events. Guys come over, we do some ice baths and stuff. So I've been doing some men's work too, and I love it, man. It's great to create that environment, and I feel like that's something that I've needed. And I went to Elliot Hulse's grounding camp. I don't know.
Amazing.
Have you done any Osho dynamic meditation?
No.
Oh, it's the fucking shit. You just pump up, charge up. It's a lot of bioenergetics, and you scream, you shout, and you release so much. And I wanted to gift that to friends back home and stuff. So I'm working on doing that way more often. It's so beautiful to see.
Wow.
It's really cool. Friends that come, some of them aren't from the holistic health space and whatnot. So it's cool to see them get into it too. And oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yes, it's so sick. I love it.
It's so needed, man.
No, it is. Yeah.
Men need men.
Yeah.
And there's no apology needed. We all, I know that we can do a lot on our own, and a lot of guys are super motivated and hungry. Some of them need direction, need, guidance in that area. But dude, we all need other men, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And someone that we can fucking literally just spill our heart to, and someone that can hold us accountable, but also someone that will give us a fucking hug when we need a hug.
Yeah.
And in the men's retreats that I've assisted and been a part of, in other medicine work or other retreats, they're all, they've all got their beauty in them. But again, have never experienced a vibration. There's a level of safety that's created when it's just guys, and it's just getting a group. I truly believe that just getting a group of men together, especially with the right intention, who are all on this path, healing happens just from that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to create for men out there who are interested in this work. It's not about a checklist that you got to be this perfect guy, and that it's just come with who you are, and we'll all grow together.
Dude, I fucking love it.
Hell yeah.
One question I did have is a personal one.
Yeah.
Do you use condoms?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
okay,
I do, yeah.
Cool. I was hoping there's a way around that one, but I guess not. Because sometimes it's interesting because I heard people count days and shit, and I'm like, maybe we can start counting days or something. But no, you use condoms?
Yeah.
Fuck, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was hoping you knew some trick for that one, Mike.
No.
God damn it. Okay. I did want to also ask about vices, man. Do you have any vices?
Yeah, we all got, fuck.
When do you crank beer with the boys, or what do you do?
So the drinking thing hasn't been my thing for a while. I just started, it's not much at all, but drinking hard kombuchas, which it's just I'm not, so the drinking thing's not really my thing.
For sure.
man, I love food. Like I'm always eating good food for sure, but I love sweets and stuff like that. And like, especially after training, like, yeah, I just love sweets.
Like chocolate, dates, or like
everything. Well, I mean, dates for sure. My sister-in-law has a date farm. So speaking of like her family, so like we get like, I love dates for sure. But like desserts and freaking, we have actually one of our good friends who's, you may have met her, Ada. Do you remember Ada Wong?
Yes, she did HLC.
Yeah, so she an amazing woman, and you know, one of the things that she does is on the side, she does this like weekly delivery to a few of us. She's been doing it for over a year of like the best treats in the world, and literally we buy like 3 boxes or 2 boxes at a time. So I got like some of the, like, she makes like, it takes her like 3 hours to make.
She makes them,
dude, like homemade coconut condensed milk for like, she's told me she's standing over the stove for like, I don't know, hours making this thing, cooking it down, making it caramel. Like,
wow.
So each week, every Friday, I get like a delivery of like cookies and you name it. So I got banana cream pie in the fridge, and we just go to town on that. Yeah. So that's for sure. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I would say. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been different stages in my life where I've had different vices. Like my gym that you saw, like I love, you know, but it's taken me a long time to build up to the equipment, but I love equipment. And so I love gear.
Don't we fucking off?
Yeah. I have literally right around this corner, I've got four, I don't even know why I would need 4 sandbags. I already have 3 downstairs, so I've got 7 sandbags with like 8 filler bags, and like bars from different, you know, gyms, and like different plates from different world championships, and like so I love equipment and stuff like that. Those are some of my bigger vices.
Yeah, like spending on like, I'm gonna splurge. Look, this one has the handles, and I can swing it differently.
Yeah, and I really don't need it, but I need it. Yeah, and like, why do I need all these things? So I love that stuff too.
All right, for sure. All right, guys. So like, what's next for you? Let's wrap it up a little bit. What's next for you? I know you're doing some men work. Well, like, what else? What's going on with you?
So man, I got so many things going on. Yeah. But I would say the biggest things that I'm putting my passion, my heart into is building my kettlebell lifestyle program and brand. And we're getting it now into our first facility. So they're going to be running kettlebell lifestyle classes.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And the new Red Dot Fitness in San Jose.
Red Dot Fitness.
Yeah. Amazing facility. I've trained their staff over the last like 5 months or so.
All right.
And so they're going to be running it based off of that program. So kettlebell lifestyle, and then the men's work, Men of Movement, are like the 2 biggest things. Outside of that, I'm finally ready and able to actually not necessarily hire employees, but bring on people on my team that are consistent. So from getting help with emails and content and people posting for me, so that at least at a base level, my stuff's covered, to like make sure I'm getting out there enough. Because I mean, anyone who's an entrepreneur, like my like hat is straight off to you, because it is fucking a tough road. And like, I mean, I've been a high level athlete in 2 different sports, and I will say like being an entrepreneur and the courage and the commitment and the discipline to staying in it is as challenging as any sport I've ever competed in. And so, whatever people see on the surface, I don't know what they see, but anyone that I see is doing well out there as an entrepreneur, I know that they've gone through some shit. And so I got honestly nothing but respect. And so I'm so grateful that some of this stuff I'm finally ready to start delegating, and even just like emotionally, just finally at a maturity level where I'm like, yo, I don't need to have my hand on everything. I need to do what I do well. And more of that, as I see, is like teach and facilitate and hold space and then lead and that sort of stuff. But in terms of like a lot of the back end stuff, so step by step, I'm starting to delegate, and I like literally couldn't be happier.
That's
like,
good, man. You're growing.
Dude, growing, yeah. It's taken a while, like Anya was saying, like 5 years to figure shit out. Yeah. And coming up on 5 years, and I'm just starting to figure it out, I think.
I love it, man. Where could people find you?
So best place I would say is go to my website, which is just www.mikesalemi.io, not .com.
Got it.
for sure on that homepage somewhere, probably at the bottom, there's a free download if anybody wants. I think I created, it was 55 things that I look at and consider as it relates to intentional fitness and intentional programming.
Okay.
So if they want to keep in touch with weekly newsletters and videos and content, just go ahead, download that, sign up. That's the best place.
What is that called?
What's that?
The download is, where's the download at?
Somewhere, I think at the bottom of the page.
Of the website.
Of my homepage. Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
And then after that, just Instagram, mike.salemi. That's where I'm most regularly posting.
Yeah.
Those are the best place. Website, IG. And if anyone's got any questions or interested in meta movement or anything, I love hopping on the phone with people and actually, first and foremost, like developing a relationship and actually seeing where people are at. And if there's something that I can offer to help them, whether it's a program or something, great. But I love the relationship aspect. And so if someone's got a question, wants to hop on a call, let me know. We can set it up. I actually think on my IG, if you go to the links, actually, no, that's for Meta Movement. I'm sorry, because my calendar's up there. But hit me up. Anyone wants to talk, wants to shoot the shit, and also find out about what I do, would love to support you.
Dude, awesome. Thank you so much for being on,
Dude,
man.
this was super fun. Thank you, brother. Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Catch you on the next one. Peace out.